Welcome back, venturers. It's time for another discussion about VNs. I am Emar, and together with Tauros, we close another year of podcast broadcast. You've seen the other sites and services do a summary of year 2025. So here comes Wrapped 2025 of VNture. Tauros, can you believe it has been over 3 years since the Big Bang?
Yes, it's been 3 years, and more impressively, we've been putting out weekly content. It has been a struggle at times, but, this whole podcast stuff has been a joy so far, and hopefully it's been a lot of fun for all the listeners as well.
Yeah, honestly, this year marked a few times in which we had some availability issues, but we persevered, and I'm impressed that we managed to deliver weekly podcast episodes. Around the beginning of the year, we had filed in a lot of pre-recorded episodes around February, and then I've been unavailable for a couple of months, but around mid-April we ran out of content, and we needed to schedule something out of nowhere. That's funny.
Yeah. Well, this episode is going to be pretty much a wrapped, as in that's the nice new fad word that you're seeing for all the end of year recap stuffs. So that's what this episode is going to be about. Us just doing a retrospective on everything that's happened in our 2025 in review.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like for me personally, probably the most fun I have when it comes to scheduling episodes is with guests. Yeah, I think that is still probably the most motivational factor for me.
There's quite a few people involved in the visual novel content creation sphere. Compared to all the content creators for other topics and stuff, of course, other hobbies have a lot more, I guess you could say, lucrative paths to fame, being a YouTuber. But it does make for a tight-knit community, and I'm really happy to meet all sorts of cool peeps.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't even know if it's correct to say, but I don't consider myself content creator. We just literally hop into the voice chat with other like-minded individuals and hit record. That's it.
You also make all the thumbnails. That's absolutely content creator.
Okay, fine. I have fun making goofy thumbnails. Fine. But even with that being said, I don't know. It's hard for me to consider myself a content creator. Maybe partially because I see how much more effort others put in their content, and we're like, yeah, we just draw some funny images and let's roll and do it live.
That's true. You look at someone like Ange, who puts out the monthly visual novel new releases, as well as informations and summaries about them, and what stuff is along the way as well, not just in development but translations. And it's something that he works on so much that he has some real life issues or roadblocks in his life that gets in the way because he's putting so much time and energy into it. And, that's something I really respect.
Despite all those roadblocks or even adult commitments, I know being an adult sucks ass. He manages to put content. I respect be it Ange, be it ads that recently took into streaming. And have you seen his layout for streaming? It has so much quality, and yet here we are with just paper for how many years now?
Well, at least 3 years, because it's great. It works. It's like it's a notebook.
It is functional. It is quite funny how recently, I feel like a lot of content creators go for minimalism and pretty much no layouts whatsoever, and we have we preserve our idea of a funny notepad from school, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's great. Plus, of course, we've got the big old space for all the CGs, all the good old visual novel juiciness.
It has its own charm, I'll admit. Okay, it has its own charm. Although, honestly, I would like to experiment a little bit more with our overlays. It just so happens I'm just too lazy, okay? Apparently, I'm just too lazy.
Maybe if you got a raise, you'd do it.
Yeah, Taurus, what are you paying me?
You double your salary.
Exposure.
Yeah, double.
Double exposure? No, thank you. Oh no.
But as far as some of the content we did do, one of which is that we did a few videos and a few topics involving some famous RPG Maker games. I don't necessarily consider them visual novels, but they're definitely adjacent to the hobby sphere. And we did an episode entirely about Demon's Roots, for example. And I know a few times you've brought up Black Souls and Black Souls 2. And
I remember that at one of the reports you mentioned finishing Demon's Roots, and that is probably the fastest ever a title stepped into and stepped out of what I have named my Taurus backlog.
What?
So I had a Demon's Root to my Taurus backlog, and I picked it up relatively soon after you talked about it.
Oh,
and
that's right.
By the way, for your information for the future, Nausea and Zato are on that backlog, okay?
Oh, interesting. I can definitely see that you would have liked Demon's Roots more than the others, though, so I'm glad you started with that. But I totally forgot. I forgot I was the one who played it first and then recommended it to you. It's almost always the other way around, especially for something like Demon's Roots. I'm like, oh, this is so MR coded.
Oh my god, the MR slop. No,
it's MR slop. What are you talking about?
Oh god.
But yes, I mean, it's not something that I would have ever thought we would discuss on a podcast focused about visual novels, but it still led to a lot of good discussion and some very interesting outlooks of how you can tie together gameplay with the story. Because at the end of the day, a visual novel, I still feel that a visual novel's backbone is the story. All the art, all the music, all the pretty effects, all of that are accessories to the plot itself in a visual novel. And games are similar in that regard, where a lot of games have great stories. And, games don't need one because they have gameplay as well. And that, that's a bigger focus to it all. But I think the balance of the two and how the two can either work together or how they clash sometimes is a very interesting aspect that visual novels aren't part of. So yes, anyways, it's a rambling way to say that they have their comparisons. But I did. Overall, I liked Demon's Roots, and we even got to talk about it a lot, right, Amar?
Yeah. You know what? Before I start gushing about Demon's Roots again, let me first finish on the point in which you were talking about what makes a VN instead of a game. I feel like the anime aesthetic does a lot. I feel like Shibuya Scramble, an example you often bring up, is teetering very closely on if you keep on changing more into real life scenarios and or real life imagery. At some point, I'll stop considering that VN. Even though it has all the mechanical approach of a VN, I feel like there is that either Japanese developer magic or anime adjacency that I still see it through the lens of VNs.
Interesting. There's a lot of people who have that mindset too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my perspective anyway. Now going back to Demon's Roots, that was the very first time we decided, I think we had that talk when we were preparing episode, whether or not bring Demon's Roots as something I've read during the report, or maybe even go ahead and make a full-fledged episode in which we go balls to the walls with all the spoilers of why we like that title.
Mhm.
And that's the first time we did that. Finally, we decided, you know what, let's do that. And yeah, I enjoyed it a ton. That I had the shackles from my hand lifted, and now I can talk about why, for example, White Phantoms was something I really loved in that title.
Yeah, finally, an episode where we got to go fully into spoilers.
Yeah.
A lot of times, we can't because, either one of us hasn't read the title, so we can't spoil it for the other. Or it's, we just prefer not to talk about spoilers because we don't want to ruin any listeners' experiences out there. But that was one time we just said right off the bat, hey, we're going to go super into depth into this title. And so spoilers beware, and you could just cut loose. So that was fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Man, not only that, but it was so good over the title that we picked. I really enjoyed that one. And some of the things that title did, specifically to Bad Ends, I have never seen anybody approach the concept that how they did it. And now I don't want to go into spoilers in this episode. Go watch that one. But I was impressed how they managed to put all of that into a single game. And to be honest, the first time I've heard about that game from you during the report, I just couldn't believe it because from my perspective, all I saw in all those screenshots you provided is like, warning, it's RPG Maker game, warning. I had all the alarm bells. But I stand corrected. It was good. I stand corrected.
What's really funny is that while I was playing Demon's Roots, I was, thinking to myself, and I was insisting to you, it's like, no, I'm not going to bring this up on the podcast. It's not a visual novel. It doesn't count, la-di-da. And then I finished it, and, I read the ending and stuff, and then I went, oh, no, I'm going to talk about this now. I need to get this off my chest.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my gosh. Maybe one day we'll get King's Exit, like some sort of official translation.
I hope so.
Or a better fan one or something.
Yeah, I really hope so. Because I had a ton of fun with Demon's Roots. And honestly, that kind of reignited our think tank of, okay, listen, we had a lot of fun talking about this title. We had a very close timeline window in which we both read it, so we were fresh with our perspective on the title. Let's do the book club thing. That reignited the idea. Let's do it. Synchronized reading. Let's go.
Led for lots of fun discussions. And speaking of book club, that is indeed something new we did this past year, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure how we decided to pick that title. I think we both had it in the backlog, and then we agreed, okay, let's just read Geminism. It was an experience, okay?
Yes, ultimately, I don't think Geminism was very good, but getting to talk about it with you along the way made it so much more enjoyable. That was definitely like most of the fun there.
I completely agree. That was the highlight, definitely.
Both of us talking.
Maybe
sorry.
Part of me approaching Geminism, maybe I wished for an experience I had in the past when I had a similar parallel reading with other people, but the competition already was stuck because the two VNs, honestly 3, that I remember reading parallel were Fate's Stay Night, Necopara, and Ivenicle. So yeah,
That's
maybe
a good track
it had
record.
too high of an. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good track record.
Yeah. And in all three of them, both me and the person I've read that in parallel with really enjoyed those titles. Every single time it was with someone else. So I don't know. I had 3 for 3. So I was thinking, surely with Geminism, I'll also read a good title.
No. Now we did actually end up making like 4 videos about it. Yeah, let me double check. It was first half Kikyo,
Yeah, I think it
then
was
second
4,
half, then Shinku, and then the ending and final thoughts about it. So we did make 4 episodes entirely around it. On the one hand, it is because we had a lot to say, while reading it and then afterwards. On the other hand, if any viewers weren't interested in this, or I guess if they just wanted us to discuss other topics, I mean, that was 4 weeks of content right there that may or may not have, entertained the listeners. So, I mean, what do you think about that, MR?
Yeah, I agree that from the standpoint of variety, that because we often have new topic every week, right? That's kind of our shtick, that we change topic, and then occasionally when the month ends, we have a report. For that month of Geminism, that's all you get. Take it or leave it, okay? It's Geminism time. Honestly, the pace we set up was almost perfect. The 3 first breakpoints, I feel like we made the best we could. The first recording was right after or right before, I'm not sure now, but right around the corner of first batch of major reveals. That was recording number 1. Recording number 2 was after first route, and recording number 3 was after the second route. And the second route had less new information because we knew the previous perspective, so it didn't need to be split. So from the standpoint of organizing recording, I think those 3 were, I think, spot on.
I think so too. Geminism was a relatively short title, though. Like, definitely under 10 hours. Does that sound right?
Around that time.
Yeah.
That sounds
so
correct.
it's when you think about it, the ratio is a little skewed, where we put 2 hours of content for a sub 10-hour visual novel.
True. Okay, fine.
But I mean,
we milk that content, okay?
To be fair, Geminism, it's a plot-heavy title. It's not like a Moege,
That's true. There were way more things to unpack there, rather than, oh, this girl has pink hair and it's cute.
Yes. And, not to diss it or anything, but like this, I feel like when you have a Moege, there's only so much to say before it's just, arguing over who best girl is, which is fine, except it's just not really a discussion about the title too much.
I agree.
But overall, I mean, I enjoyed it too, and I would do it again. I really liked getting to do a read-through, and it was something new and fresh, and it was a new angle for us to give our thoughts in the middle of reading something instead of how it usually goes. Like, our reports tend to be when we finish something, and when we're in the middle of something in a report, again, we don't get any spoilers, so we kind of have to restrain our thoughts and our feelings about how the story's going so far. But with Geminism and just doing a read-along, that was different.
Yeah, I agree. Also, it helped that Geminism has been a story without meaningful choices, right? It was linear progression, no variance in our choices, because we couldn't do any variance. So that helped, for sure.
Yes, I know before, we thought about doing read-alongs and stuff, but the logistics were a problem. Because, like, if there's a choice and it affects the plot, it's like, uh-oh, what are we going to do now? How are we going to be on the same page and yet still a blind read-through?
Yeah, I mean, that's a legit concern. I don't know how to approach blind playthrough. I personally dislike any kind of spoilers and or route order guide, something like that. No bueno. First, read has to be blind. To accommodate that and do a book club style reading, I don't know if it's possible. So maybe I need to make exceptions for book club in that way.
I mean, you don't even like knowing how long a title is, huh?
No, I mean, it's never really a factor for me. I don't open VNDB, look at the title, it says 40 hours, and I said, no, I don't have time. No, if its premise is something I'd enjoy, I will read it. So
No. I meant as far as reading something blind. I mean, because one of the aspects was like you didn't know when there were any chapters for Geminism. So it's like, okay, wait, when's our break point? When can we stop reading?
I mean, the fact that I do not know what the choice structure is and or how many choices there are is part of me approaching blind. I don't necessarily close my eyes when opening VNDB page, never to see the duration. That's never the point. But I don't focus on that either.
Okay, if that's fair, maybe that's the best way to put it then.
Yeah, like probably by some sort of osmosis and rumors, I'll understand that this title is longer or long, and this is short or shorter. But I don't necessarily avoid that information or seek it out. With maybe the super extreme example, like the 100 line, something like that, that recently
100 line.
exploded. I know it's super duper long, okay? I've been informed.
Maybe even it has 100 endings?
Who knows?
But yeah, so I'd be looking forward to doing more read-alongs in the future. I don't know when, because, that's a pretty big commitment, but still, it was fun. And I hope it was fun for listeners too.
Oh yeah, I hope that as well. I hope the people who like the variety we deliver weren't too bored with having the same topic week after week. Yeah, but definitely, that's one of the things I would like to revisit next year. I don't know with what title and how to approach it necessarily, but I guess we'll see, right, how it develops.
Now, as for other huge projects we undertook this year, there was a huge one involving you and Nene-san, right?
Yeah, I definitely discovered with Nene-san how lazy I am, okay? Every single time I have scheduled a meeting with Nene-san, we ended up talking on voice chat about runs instead of preparing the quiz. God damn it. Yeah, the inner nerd in me has actively sabotaged preparing the episode, but I pulled myself together and we prepared the quiz finally. Yeah, and that was an idea. That was something that I talked with Nene-san, I think for a year before we finally sat down and prepared it. I think it was for about a year.
The idea that you would have some sort of quiz battle over your Rance knowledge to see who was the bigger Rance fan.
You know what? No, that's actually the funny part. No, it wasn't. The idea was for having more of a who wants to be a millionaire kind of quiz for one person to be guessing and the other being the master of ceremony, right? And somewhere along the lines of us talking, me and Nessan, and honestly with you, Taurus, as well, we decided, you know what, maybe it's more fun if it's a competition. Oh, the battle of the lore nerds, something like that. Right?
Okay.
That was something that shifted from the original idea. Probably you don't remember, it was long ago. But it was just a single participant, a single quiz.
Yeah, this was in the works for many months, so my memory might be a little fuzzy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
But
then
yeah, you
I
finally
remember
pulled it
also,
off. Yeah.
yeah, because we thought, okay, wait, if it's a battle, then that makes perfect sense in a hilarious twist of fate for Tauros to be the master of ceremonies, the host of that quiz, despite limited or no knowledge of the Rand's universe. You can host as long as you know generally the question and how it goes on. We were bouncing ideas back and forth, and then pretty spontaneously, I think that was the last part of the preparation, we came up with the idea of power-ups. That was the last thing we did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And boy, you both used them to great effect.
Yes.
Yeah, who would have guessed that it would have come down to the wire with you clutching out
Oh
a
my
1-point
God.
victory?
That was crazy how it came out.
I was hype. You couldn't have scripted that any better.
Exactly. I was like, what the fuck? And so early on, during that recording, I was sweating bullets. Part of it because of the stress part of it, because I had all the configuration bells and whistles in the backend I was doing. But then I got that tricky question from Ness, and I'm like, oh my God, what is this? That's the final boss, and it was like question number 2.
From an outsider's perspective, I was sorting through a whole bunch of characters to select which ones would be, the questions of, hey, identify who is this character with just the scraps of information. And so I got to take a look through the Rants wiki and all that, and I had a very fun time figuring out what the heck is going on with some of these people. Why are there so many weird monster, demon, devil things? Who is this regular Joe human who has a huge entry? They're just a long ass page in the wiki.
Yeah, just a regular Joe. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, that was funny.
That's funny. You kind of served as a raffle machine in which me and Nessan put our picks for the other person to guess. And your job was to figure out that we do not have a conflicting picks. So a little bit unveiling how it was from the back and how I prepared it. Is as you were preparing and filtering our picks so there will be no conflict.
I had to make sure everything went smoothly between the battle between you two.
Yeah, and it doesn't end up being that I and Nessan prepared the same character to guess, right?
Yeah.
So that was actually funny.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Did it live up to your expectations?
Yeah, but it also reinforced me in knowledge that, yes, I am introvert, and holy shit, I was stressed the entire time.
The pressure was too much.
Yeah, it was fucking pressure. All right, okay.
Oh my gosh. Would you ever be, maybe interested in something like this ever again?
Definitely. When it comes to a quirky idea, the second one I fondly remember from this year, is something we did with favorite soundtracks. This is another one of experimental things we did, in which we talked about our favorite soundtracks from VNs. And during that talk, we played them back in the background, so we had live commentary of what made them special. Now, we didn't want to overdo it too much, so we had to make it noticeably quieter than they are, as well as talk over it, as not to trigger content ID match and not get our channel strike or anything like that. So I felt that was very clever from us. Maybe it wasn't as great to listen to from this perspective of a listener on the podcast, but I think that was the best we could do to reasonably comment and have that thing go in the background at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, soundtracks are a huge part of visual novels, and I've been wanting to talk about some of my favorites for a while, so the fact that you and our guests available on that episode were able to create a setup where we could just play the soundtracks on demand behind us, that was really cool. That added another layer to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I do have to say is that I've always been a little concerned throughout our career about those YouTube copyright strikes. Anyone who's ever, created anything on YouTube knows how dangerous those copyright strikes are. Even with the best of intentions, suddenly you're looking at a whole bunch of, flashing warning danger symbols, and it's lots of threats. And considering that we put out content weekly, and we have a lot of visual novel assets going around, I've always wondered, is there ever going to be a problem? There shouldn't, but just because there shouldn't be a problem, that doesn't mean anything,
Yeah, and how ironic it is that the only problem we had is not related to what you would expect, right? So it's more of a edgy jokes that we made during an audio test that got us in trouble rather than images or assets themselves, right?
Not us, but well.
Yeah, we learn our lessons, and we are very careful with YouTube. Okay. But yeah, I remember when we had that episode about the soundtracks with Anj, and he posted his favorite OSTs as well. This is also the first time we experimented with, oh my god, the software to share the screen and etc. And I hope ultimately it came out okay, both on the recording and you participating, because I suppose you guys also had to hear what is running in the background. And yeah, I think this opens up a lot of possibility of what to do in the future, of which the quiz was example of.
Oh, sorry, I just yawned.
Okay, sorry for boring you, Taurus, okay? Sorry.
No, because you've learned a lot about all sorts of production stuff, right? You've learned a lot about OBS and about file conversions and about working out Photoshop.
Something new.
Yes. You've been learning a ton throughout this.
True. I have never done that commercially ever, so everything I do is me kind of like a monkey trying and pressing all the buttons until it works, okay?
Yeah. Another Google search, another YouTube video.
How to apply this filter to this layer of Photoshop. Okay, let's listen to the tutorial. Or the most recent one, okay, how to create a multi-layered, multi-audio track recording in OBS. Okay. Okay, how do we do it?
Meanwhile, you know what I did? I created a thumbnail. That's right.
True.
Last week's episode, the award ceremony. Those tuxedos were me, baby, in Microsoft Paint. Behold the artistry.
That was deserve a golden Taurus for that.
That was very silly.
Yeah.
That's okay. I think I'll leave the thumbnails to you, MR.
Wow, one thumbnail and he's exhausted.
No, I do more, but I'm not gonna lie. I think the viewers appreciate yours more.
And honestly, I have fun making them, so it's fine by me. That's a deal I can go behind.
As for what else I was up to this past year, I say with a somewhat reluctant heart that I made it through Nope Nurses. The entire trilogy.
No. Oh god, this is the new meme.
It is. No, it's not. Go away. Yes, I read Nope Nurses, and I couldn't believe that by the time I got to the end, it would be such a wild experience for me in many different ways. I remember when I started out, I was wondering, why this weird premise Nukige somehow went from being a kind of shitty webcomic into being a visual novel trilogy, into being its own anime series, into having official Dojin works, into having its own licensed figurine. I was like, okay, what the heck happened here? And so I wanted to check it out firsthand to see, if there was anything more underneath the surface. And the first two visual novels were, they were pretty much Nukige's, involving a lot of femdom and ridiculous premises. And it was kind of funny for what it was, but I was getting more and more disillusioned with it along the way. And finally we get to the third. And I have to say, Nope, Nurses is actually just incredible. I couldn't believe while I was reading it that now we just had an incredible plot with great characters and some wild plot twists that turned into a title that was just a diamond in the rough. I was like, wow, I can't believe we're going to finish strong with this trilogy, and I'm going to look back on this series fondly. I had no clue that this was how things were going to end. And so...
Reading the end with a disillusion at the end is such a Taurus-coded thing to say. So to me, I'm not surprised that this is the new favorite series of Taurus.
No, favorite. No, get out of here.
It's so Taurus-coded, okay?
Taurus-coded? I don't want this to be Taurus-coded. No.
Too bad.
No. Oh my god, get out of here.
Surely the third entry in Meteor World Actor would also be good, okay?
Oh, see, that's not even funny.
That's not even. It is.
And my ongoing conflict with the Meteor World Actor series.
It's surely in the third entry they will have some nurses for you, okay?
But what about you, MR? What would you say has been the story of your visual novel series this past year?
Honestly, the most surprising one, VN, that I've read, similarly to how you say the Nobeverse was a surprise to you, I gotta go with Galzu Island. That's the one title I keep going back to because it does so many things well, yet holy shit, it tested my patience multiple times. With a lot of dated mechanics and an approach to story progression that boils down to where the hell do I go next. But man, and maybe that's MR coded kind of deal in which I feel like I can forgive a lot of sins for a VN if the conclusion and the ending is satisfying. That I can forgive a lot of bad things along the way if the conclusion is great.
And that makes sense.
That one really tested my patience, and I was pleasantly surprised. This was definitely not something I expected to enjoy as much as I did.
Well, and I'm assuming it's because it had a strong ending. That's just what you said.
I mean, that's part of it. But I feel like when it comes to VNs, they rarely do engaging villains as a group. I feel like oftentimes when there is a particular antagonist, rival, villain, however you slice it, they rarely function as a group. Oftentimes, when it comes to VNs, it is a protagonist and cast revolving around him, whether or not they are immediately allies or maybe he's slowly gathering allies, versus a singular enemy or antagonist that sometimes rotates. That's one approach. Another approach would be a group of villains that constantly backstabs each other to the point it's so predictable it's not even funny.
That is funny.
I mean, okay, that is funny how often that happens. You can even bank on it. And maybe even in a topic of dislike tropes, I'll bring that up. But basically, finally, I had a VM in which I was super immersed in a relationship of the bad guys. Those are three interesting characters. The Baron Squid, which is an evolved form of a very innocent and weak creature, because Squidman is something in Alisov that is very weak enemy, and he grew with all the muscles and he became the Baron Squid. His trusty right-hand man is the torture warrior, is basically a mutated crab. And then the third person in the party, kind of an intelligence gather spy, Kraken. And it was his childhood sweetheart. Like, that was such an amazing trio of evildoers. Like, I was completely immersed whenever they had a perspective shift in the game back to the evil camp. I'm like, okay, what's next? What's evil plan will have today?
Aww. I feel like there's not enough attention given to the relationships of villains, like you said. Like, villains are people too. It's too easy to just have them be a walking, mustache twirling, cartoon of a villain. Like, come on. We can give them some personality too, yeah.
And think about how often you've read a VN in which there is a moment of revelation. So for the majority of the story, you see villains somewhat one-dimensional, and there comes one moment in which they, let's use the term, info-dump you, all the backstory and villain to make it relatable, or maybe you feel bad for them in one moment. How about showing me the perspective of how that group operates in a very interesting and enduring way instead of just a single dump and now feel bad for them? Bye. Think.
But this is getting a little off topic, huh? we could be here all day starting to talk about this stuff.
Fair enough. But that's the one title that just I can't get out of my head. How that one aspect was really well done. Similarly, in how in the past I talked about Amatsutsumi, the title, I still think to this day how there is an aspect, more spoilery, so I don't want to bring it up, that I keep going back to how was amazingly done, despite many gripes I had with that title. So yeah. And honestly, you know what? In this segment, you asked me what was my VM discovery of the year. Maybe it's my faith in RPG Maker game Restored. I know, maybe those aren't pure VMs, but between Demon's Roots and between Black Souls, my faith in RPG Maker VN-esque titles have been restored.
Oh, what a redemption story.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sweet. We'll have to see if there are any more titles out there in the future, because I'm not thinking of any off the top of my head. Demon's Roots and Black Souls 1 and 2 were kind of always the most hyped ones about it. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if there's anything more for you in storage, but hey, it's something, maybe one day.
Honestly, with the quality they deliver, I'm good. Even if for some time now, I won't find anything nearly as compelling. So I'm fine with that. Honestly, on the topic of the end discoveries from the last year, one thing that I keep reminiscing about is our way of talking about titles we read in reports. Oftentimes, you know what's wrong, majority of the times when we talk about titles we've read in the past month, we talk that from the perspective from the perspective one person has read it to either completion or most of it read, and the other person hadn't touched it whatsoever. And honestly, I kind of struggle how to approach this topic because I don't want reports to be two monologues. I every single time we had a report, I'd strive for the conversation to go both ways. And to do that, whenever you bring an example of what a title you've read done, I try to give an example of a title I know and read in the past that did things similarly. But I don't know, does that derail from what you want to talk about your title, or should I bring it more often?
No, I don't think it derails. I do think there are times when it's hard to stay and focused on what they're talking about because you're trying to hear about this thing entirely secondhand, and so some visual novels are easier to question and poke back on than others. Although it is very funny all the times you mention, like I'll be talking about a visual novel and you'll mention, oh, that's just like this other VN I've read, and then you go for like 3 minutes explaining the plot of that one, and it's like, okay. Anyways, back to what we were talking about, MR.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think I did that
okay.
the most. I think I did that the most around mid of this year, after which I really dialed down those examples and quote unquote derailment, because I didn't want to derail what you're going to say about a title you've read with me giving counter examples of trying to find familiar ground with you. But on the other hand, I don't want to this become, okay, Tauros, please tell me what you've read. Now you get the floor. See you in 10 minutes when I say something.
And to be
fair, that's not the point.
No, I mean, to be fair, I don't think that's that big of a problem. Because, hey, if this is something about, each of our experiences, and, they're obviously the one who knows more about the title that they've read. So I do think, both is fine. It's okay to, especially if, I have a lot to say, like after I read, like, the Nope Nurses or whatever, or when you're reading, Galzu Island. It's like sometimes you just got a lot to say about it, and it's okay. It's like, okay, buddy, go off. And then other times, when appropriate, you can always step in and say, hey, well, what about this one thing you were mentioning? Or how does that, work about that? It's it's hard, but it's a back and forth, and I think what we have is okay, right?
Yeah, like he said, I struggle to find appropriate balance. I think the more okay, I'm going to use the term out there you titles you bring, the harder it is for me to maintain that balance, because I try to find any point of reference in what you're saying to the things I've experienced. But then again, if you say, oh, this is the Denpa VN I've read, I'm like, what's Denpa? What are you talking about? Is that not, that's not a swear word or anything like that, right?
What? Oh my god, no. Wait a second. I know when I talked about Zato, it's like that was kind of my first input too. And I remember you saying that you were pretty new to it. Was that the first time you've heard the word Denpa?
Consciously, yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was that new.
I don't know if I've read a Denpa VN that qualifies as Denpa, but this is the first time I've heard someone describe the VN they've read as Denpa VN. Okay?
Ooh.
So, I don't know. Did I read something in the past that also qualified as that? Hard for me to say. That was very peculiar title in which how you described it, okay? I don't know. Hard for me to say.
Oh, interesting.
But honestly, those are probably the two biggest things I struggle with when it comes to podcasts. One is on the read part. I don't know how exactly to maintain the balance of conversation. And honestly, the second part, I don't know how to end episodes.
Oh, what do you mean? You've been doing a great job of it.
Yeah, but okay, it sounds silly. But the only part that I script when it comes to those recordings is the intro. I write a little blurb of what to say at the start. I roll with them, and oftentimes the last sentence or so is just ad hoc. I come up on the spot. In a way, that kind of preparations, okay, please don't take it out of context, gets me in the mood of talking about VNs in the podcast, okay? I don't know how to end an episode. Should I say thanks for listening, goodbye? I don't want to talk about please subscribe. That's kind of cringe, so I don't do that.
Cringe. Oh, okay.
Should I always ask please comment, like, subscribe, describe what's your... I don't like reminding people. Because when I listen to YouTube videos, I don't even register those kind of messages. When I click on a YouTube video or a podcast episode or whatever, I want to listen to the content and be done. I pretty much rarely, if ever, comment or engage with the video. Mm-hmm. Because of that, I also ended the videos the same way. I kind of want to be, okay, that's it from it, bye. But probably I should mention that if our listeners have a take on the topic that we talked about, I should encourage them to leave that to share in the comments.
Oh yeah, of course. That's always interesting for other people to talk about some of the interesting stuff that they've read or some of the ways that, they've drawn their experiences from what we were mentioning. I do like seeing those too. Yeah.
I agree. That's probably a responsible thing to do as a content creator, but possibly because I don't consider myself a content creator, rather the certified yapper who likes to do funny, junky thumbnails. Then I just like to say, venture out and goodbye.
Well, it's working out great for you so far.
Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't help, Taurus, that sometimes it feels like you have a whip in which you say, okay, we are 40 minutes in, faster.
No.
Faster.
No, hey, that's... Okay, no, I'm not whipping you. Although it is important, I do want to say that, I do respect our viewers' time as well. As much as it would be fun to go on for hours and hours, on the other hand, not everyone can. It's feasible for others to do that, and sometimes it gets a little ridiculous, the way I see some video streams go on for like 2-3 hours or so. And sometimes I wonder, it's like, okay, how much of this is me respecting the viewer's time? I do want to keep things a little bit straightforward, to the point, and, dense. Not to say that you aren't, MR, but it's just, we have the guidelines and stuff in the first place. And so that's what I want to stick to, because it'd be too easy to go longer and longer and longer, and then just leave some viewers behind.
Easy, you say. So how about a marathon in which we go Sunday to Sunday, just streaming all the time?
It's not a 24-hour stream. That's not long enough. It's got to be, what is
that?
No.
24 hours is
72.
It's a week.
100. Oh my gosh. I think you could do
That's
it,
the
though.
week. You certified yapper. Oh my god.
And I just keep rage baiting you along the way.
No. Oh my god. Is that what you meant with the double exposure? Oh my god. I don't want to race anymore.
Oh no. All right. Any closing thoughts so far, Amar?
Not really. Those were all the topics I wanted to bring. And honestly, I have a lot of fun doing that. And that's probably the most important part of this podcast. Honestly, I like how we tend to invite other recurring guests and still seek out new. I had a ton of fun talking to Bassman about his insane knowledge about Steins Gate lore. That it's just like, wow. Finally, I managed to beat my introvertness and I sent him a DM, okay? I did it.
Applause. Clap, 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 clap.
Yeah.
But yeah, and no real closing thoughts from me either. I'm just always grateful that there are people out there who brighten up their days a little by listening to some of these episodes too. So that's the goal, and I hope that we can continue doing this for as long as possible.
Yeah. And we promise we slowly improve quality, and we every single time we try to make it just a slightly better podcast experience. So I think that's a very good send-off to go on, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you very much, and hope to see you all plenty more in the future as well.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking with us, and venture out.
Venture out.